So you've been thinking about moving to Northwest Arkansas, and probably a big decision that you have to make is where are you going to live? Where should you live in this Northwest Arkansas metro? So what we're going to do in this video is go over and talk about some of these different areas. That way you can figure out where the best place for you is here in Northwest Arkansas. So if you are thinking about relocating to the area, you're not going to want to miss this video, and we're getting after it right now. Hey, welcome or welcome back. If this is your first time to the channel, this is Living in the Ozarks. And on this channel, we go over everything you would ever need to know when it comes to moving to or living in Northwest Arkansas, as well as Southwest Missouri. And we go over things such as the best neighborhoods, the cost of living, the pros and cons, the different school districts, and where you should live in Northwest Arkansas. So if you guys want to stay up to date on all the different videos that we put out about the area, then be sure to hit that subscribe button as well as the bell. That way you're notified every single time we put out a new video. And if this is your first time seeing me, my name is Chris, and me and my team help people make the move here every single day. So whether you are looking to move today, tomorrow, 6 months, or a year, it does not matter. Feel free to reach out to us. You can give us a call, shoot us a text, or send us an email. However you guys want to reach out, go ahead and reach out to us. And we'd absolutely love to help you make the move here as easy as possible. But with all that being said, we're going to go ahead and jump into this video. And today we're talking about where you should live in Northwest Arkansas. All right, so first things first, this video is not at all, us steering you into a certain city or a certain area. This is just us going over an overview of the entire area. That way, hopefully it'll help you, find the best place for you.
I got a really good feeling about this.
Whether that be, one of the bigger cities like Bentonville or in Fayetteville. Maybe you're looking for, a place to get some acreage, some more land. Maybe you're looking for a small town feel, whatever it may be, where you're going to try to cover it here. Now, the first thing that we're going to be talking about is Bentonville and Fayetteville. So Bentonville versus Fayetteville. And the reason we are highlighting these two cities specifically is because they are the two major cities in this metro. Bentonville is going to be on the northern or up north of the metro, and Fayetteville is going to be down south. So these are the two main cities that most people know about whenever it comes to this Northwest Arkansas metro. So first off, we're going to start off with Bentonville. So this is where Walmart is headquartered. This is where you see a lot of growth happening. This is where a lot of people want to be in Bentonville. It's got its pros, and of course it's got its cons like any other area. The one thing that Bentonville does have going for it, just like a lot of these other places, is the downtown area in Bentonville is amazing. If you want to go to community events, they have seasonal events there. They have like block parties. They have art walks. They have all kinds of different things. In the wintertime, they have like where they light the entire square up, and they have an ice skating rink just off of the square there. They have farmers markets, just tons and tons of awesome things. Around the square there, you're actually going to find a bunch of different bars and restaurants, and almost every single weekend in the warmer months, it is an absolute blast and an amazing place to be. But now whenever it comes to actually living in Bentonville, you are going to see that it's going to be one of the pricier areas in this metro. Now, yes, you can still find affordable housing there, but it is becoming harder and harder. So for instance, if you are looking for a home in that $200,000 price range, they do still exist in Bentonville, but they are getting harder and harder to come by. And those are those really competitive price ranges there in Bentonville. So keep that in mind. If that's your price range, you might have better luck looking in one of the suburbs of Bentonville, which we are going to get to later in this video. But right now we're talking about types of living in Bentonville. You have the downtown area, which can get very, very pricey. You also have some gated communities, some master plan communities. You also have a lot of different neighborhoods inside of Bentonville, more established neighborhoods too. Overall, Bentonville is going to be a pricier place for sure, especially compared to some of these other areas that we're going to be talking about. You are going to find a lot more traffic in Bentonville too. That's where Walmart is headquartered, and they're actually building a 350-acre brand new home office right in the middle of Bentonville. There's definitely a lot of perks to in Bentonville, but if you don't enjoy traffic, if you don't want to pay the higher prices, then maybe you need to look at some of these other areas. But that was a quick overview of Bentonville. The next area, the next bigger city that we're going to be talking about, another main driver of this area is going to be Fayetteville. So the biggest thing with Fayetteville, yes, they have awesome downtown areas too. Basically the same kind of things that we were talking about with Bentonville. Awesome community events, farmers markets, Christmas time stuff. Down there at the square, they actually have reindeers, live reindeers, Santa Claus in Christmas time. Just like Bentonville, they always have something going on no matter what time of year that it is. The biggest difference, however, though, with Fayetteville is going to be that is where the U of A is, the University of Arkansas. So it is a college town. Now, I say that, but you can still, it's still a great place for families and everyone else. But it is a college town too, though, especially in that inner city, around university. You're going to have a lot of sorority houses, and college kids. They also have a street there. It's called Dixon Street, and that's kind of like your main college bar street. Yes, other people still go down there too, but it definitely can feel like a college town, because it is, especially if you're in that inner city area. But there is tons of different areas in Fayetteville that are awesome for families. You still have a lot of gated communities. You have some master plan communities there as well. Just a really excellent area no matter what you are looking for. Fayetteville's going to have something for you. However, you do still have that element of the university being there. So that's the biggest difference. Home prices, though, are going to be a little bit lower than Bentonville, but still going to be on the pricier end for this metro. So that's kind of why we wanted to talk about these two main cities, because most of the time whenever people are calling us, they're talking about Bentonville or Fayetteville. So that's kind of the difference between the two. And now we're going to go on to our next topic here and show you maybe a different option if that Bentonville or Fayetteville isn't what you are looking for. All right, so next up we're going to be starting to talk about the suburbs. So these are going to be the suburbs of Bentonville and Fayetteville. So for Bentonville, a really good option when it comes to the suburbs is going to be a place like Centerton or Cave Springs. Those are awesome areas basically connected to Bentonville, to where if you are working in Bentonville at, say, a Walmart or somewhere else in the city, you can still live in a Centerton and get more home for your dollar there. It's definitely going to be a lower home price there, but still basically feels like you are in Bentonville. So that's a really good option for a lot of people, is going over across the city limits and going into Centerton. Cave Springs too is an amazing area. It's a smaller town that is just blown up, but you don't really get the advantage of cheaper home prices there. It's actually just as expensive, if not more expensive, than Bentonville. But it's a great area. There is a ton of really good neighborhoods there. Kind of your same like cul-de-sac living, your suburban lifestyle. That's what you're going to be finding in Cave Springs and Centerton. Of course, there's other areas, there's established neighborhoods, but the main thing here is going to be, homes built in the last 10 to 15 years or newer is what you're going to be finding in these areas. We have a lot of new construction going up here, but you also have places just outside of Bentonville too, such as Rogers, which is another really big prominent city here in Northwest Arkansas. That's out more towards the lake. Rogers is actually located right next to Bentonville. The interstate there kind of separates Bentonville and Rogers, but that's a great option. They have a really nice downtown area too. It's more of its own place, but you can find cheaper homes in Rogers compared to Bentonville. And then another suburb of Bentonville is going to be Bella Vista, and that's actually one of my favorite places here in the entire metro. So Bella Vista is just on top of Bentonville to the north. The city of Bella Vista is actually under a POA, which is a Property Owners Association, and you actually have 7 private lakes there and a ton of other amenities that go with it. So that's a really good option. A lot of people live in Bella Vista and actually work in Bentonville and Rogers and so on. So that's a really good option if you're wanting kind of a slower pace where you actually live, but then there's still a quick 10 to 15 minute drive to work. And now we also have a bunch of other videos on Bella Vista and these other areas, so be sure to check those out too. All right, and then talking about Fayetteville, some of the suburbs around there, you have places like Springdale, which is kind of like Rogers, where it's not really a suburb, but because it's just so big, but it's right next to Fayetteville. You have Lowell, you have Town, you have Johnson. Those are just other, areas. Basically, every area here is kind of the same in the sense of you're going to be able to find newer homes and older homes, but these suburbs, most of these, besides a select few, you're going to be able to find for a more reasonable price than being in Fayetteville and Bentonville. Take Springdale, for instance. It's actually a fairly large city, but you're going to be able to to find all different types of housing there. It's very blue collar and white collar. It's just kind of a big mix there, and you can really find affordable housing there in Springdale. So maybe you're wanting to live there, and Springdale's very centrally located too. So you could live in Springdale and work all the way in Bentonville or Fayetteville. It really works out well for a lot of people. Most people who call us never even heard of Springdale, but it's a really good option. Now, Springdale is definitely not everyone's cup of tea for sure. A lot of people do not like it. There is a lot of factory work there, and it's not to put down factory workers or factories or anything like that, but there's like chicken plants there, and they can put off some smells sometimes. So it's just something that you kind of have to decide if that's worth it to you. I mean, it's not like where you wake up every single day, you walk out your front door and you just get this horrible smell. But, it does sometimes smell a little funky sometimes. So you do have to take that into account. But if Springdale doesn't work for you, there's still a lot of other suburbs around there that give you a great option. All right, so we're going to move on to number 3, which is going to be the small towns around here. So yes, these are also kind of included in those suburbs, but we're going to be talking about, the actual smaller towns. So whenever it comes to small towns, the first places that hit my mind around the Bentonville area are going to be places like Pea Ridge. So Pea Ridge is an awesome area. It's kind of off the beaten path compared to the rest of the metro. It's still a great little town. They actually have a brand new high school there. It's a really, really nice facility. Now, Pea Ridge is going to be about 10 to 15 minutes outside of Bentonville and Rogers. It's not that far of a drive at all. There's a lot of new builds. There's also some established neighborhoods too, to where you can get in some like ranch houses. But you're mainly, if you're moving to Pea Ridge, you're more than likely going to be getting into a new build within the last 5 years. You get them at a lower price there. That's a great option if you're wanting to get more house for your dollar. Pea Ridge is a really good option. It is a smaller town, but you're still going to have, like your grocery stores, a couple smaller restaurants, some fast food chains, gas stations, a bank, stuff like that. And you're only 10 to 15 minutes from Bentonville and Rogers and some of these other areas where you still get to take advantage of all the amenities that it has to offer, but actually get that small town feel still in a very close distance. And then some other places are going to be like Gentry, which is another really small area. It's more like farmland, but there is some houses there. You got a lot of options there if you're looking for land there and everything else. Now, whenever it comes to Fayetteville, what are some small towns around Fayetteville? Some places that I think about are going to be like Farmington, and Farmington is basically connected to Fayetteville now, but it still does have that small town feel. It's been growing a lot. It's starting to become a really popular place for people who are moving here. So I don't expect it to stay very small for much longer. We are seeing a lot of growth there, but it's still an excellent place. It's got really, really good schools. It's kind of right off of Fayetteville to the west, but it makes for a great place if you want to be close to Fayetteville and everything that Fayetteville has to offer, but just have a little bit slower lifestyle. And now if you want to get really small, you could even go to like a place like Elkins, which is to the east of Fayetteville, and that's going to be a lot smaller. That's going to be more like kind of your farm town, which is really great place still. We're seeing some more new builds go up there. You also have a place that's a little farther south from Fayetteville, which is going to be Prairie Grove. That's an awesome place too. You're definitely feeling more like farm towns there, which if that's what you are looking for, it's a great option. So if you're looking for that small town feel still, we definitely still have them here in Northwest Arkansas. All right, so next up, we're going to be talking about some of my favorite areas. That's going to be the different lakes here. So what is lake life like in Northwest Arkansas? Well, the main lake here is definitely Beaver Lake. So that is to the east of the main metro here. Places like Rogers, Lowell, and Springdale are going to be your closest cities to the main lake areas, the marinas. But if you are looking to move onto a lake in a lake house, then I would say that Beaver Lake is where most people are going to want to be at. The biggest thing there is, that's going to be your priciest homes in this entire area for sure. Now, you also have options to live in these different lake communities, which aren't necessarily right on the water, but they're within a couple blocks or a quarter mile. So it's still really, really close, and you still get that lake feel, but just a little cheaper than being on the actual water. Now, the biggest thing that I will say about about living on the lake on Beaver Lake is that if if you're buying a lake house, you're probably going to want a boat dock. Now, right now, the Corps of Engineers is not issuing any more boat dock permits. So what that means is that if you go and buy a lake house on Beaver Lake and there's not already an existing boat dock, then you're not going to be able to put one in yourself. Now, of course, you do still have the option of renting a boat slip at the different marinas around the lake. The only issue with that is there is a pretty long wait list. You may be able to get into like a community boat slip there. But that's just something that you have to be aware of when buying a lake house on Beaver. That's a great option. The other option though is if you're wanting to be on the lake and can't find what you are looking for on Beaver Lake, you could go to Bella Vista like we were talking about, because they have those 7 private lakes there. And yes, those definitely are smaller bodies of water. Not all of them are wake lakes, so some of them are no wake lakes. So that's something to keep in mind depending on what kind of boat that you have or what type of boat that you are wanting to maybe get in the future. But you can still, most of those lakes, we haven't ran into any big problems yet where you can still build a boat dock if there's not already one on those lakes. So that's a good option, a very good alternative option if you can't find what you're looking for on Beaver Lake. Now, regardless of whichever way you decide to go on that, whether it be Beaver Lake or over on some of those private Bella Vista lakes, we have tons of different options when it comes to lake houses here. You can find them as cheap on some of the Bella Vista lakes as $400,000, and on Beaver Lake, you're looking at $500,000 plus for anything halfway decent, and that $500,000 is kind of pushing it. So the lake houses are definitely some of the priciest properties that we have here, obviously. But if that's what you are looking for, you definitely have a lot of good options. All right, now the next one that we want to talk about is going to be the walkable areas here. Now, whenever I say walkable, I'm saying something to where you can get out. This entire area is walkable for the most part. There's tons of walking trails, hiking trails. This is the mountain biking capital of the world, so there's bike trails, goes all through all these cities and connects the entire metro. It's just crazy. There's hundreds of miles of trails here. But what I'm talking about more specifically when I'm talking about walkable is the areas where you can walk out your room door and walk a few blocks and be at AM restaurant. So we do have a few of those different areas here. The first one that I want to talk about is going to be downtown Bentonville. So that is an amazing area. We're seeing a lot of growth there. It is the priciest area in the entire metro by far. So most stuff around here, you're looking at paying around $200 AM square foot. That's going to greatly vary depending on where you actually buy. But right off of the Bentonville Square, you can actually pay up to $800, $900 a square foot for the property there, because investors are coming in there. They're tearing down the old buildings, putting some multifamily homes there and, in new custom homes. Now there's some beautiful homes there, but it's definitely on the high end of what is around here. But there is also some other neighborhoods just outside of that area to where you could still walk to that downtown Bentonville area and to those local restaurants and bars. Now the other area is going to be downtown Fayetteville. That's an amazing area. That's going to be around the university. So, probably not the best option for, a family, but maybe you are a young couple, maybe a young professional, someone just looking for maybe a condo, a townhome, something like that. We definitely have that in downtown Fayetteville, and that's where you're going to be able to walk to a bunch of different restaurants, stores. You're going to have that Dixon Street strip there where you can go to all of the different bars and restaurants and shops. So that's a really good option if you're looking for a walkable area. And of course, there's some other smaller areas too that offer that too, but those are the two main ones that come to mind, at least to my mind, whenever it comes to the walkable areas here. All right, and then I'm just going to throw this one in here as a little extra, and that's going to be land in acreage, in larger lots. You're going to find that on all of the outskirts of any of these cities, honestly. Now, I will say that the acreage outside of Bentonville does tend to be a little more pricey than acreage on the outskirts of Fayetteville. But if you're willing to go, 10, 15 miles out from these main areas, you are going to be able to find a lot of land. Now, you could also go to the west of the metro and go over to Siloam Springs, and the outskirts of Siloam Springs, they have a lot of, different options for buying land, and in between there, there's also a lot of national forest here, so you might look on the map and see, there's a bunch of land here. There's a very good possibility that that's actually natural forest. The one thing that I will say is, though, a lot of people who are looking for land, you may find a better deal going just across the state line up on the northern part and going across the state line into Missouri. You are going to find a lot more land for a lot cheaper there. Now, if you want to be in Northwest Arkansas, totally understand it, but the state line is just right there. So if you did want to go over there and get maybe have a house here in Northwest Arkansas, and then maybe have some land, some hunting land, some farming land, some, like a little ranch land out there, totally doable. Or if you're looking for a bunch of land to build on, that land right across the state line into Missouri is more farmland, just kind of rolling hills, but it's still, definitely a good option if that's what you are looking for. Now, regardless of what you guys are looking for, me and my team would love to help you guys find that perfect place here. So if you guys are thinking about relocating to the area, be sure to give us a call, shoot us a text, or send us an email. That number is popping up down below. It's also going to be in the description down below. So be sure to reach out to us, and we would love to have a conversation with you and just tell you about the area and maybe be able to open your eyes to some other areas that maybe you haven't really thought of. So we would love to do that for you guys. And now, of course, if you guys want to see more videos just like this one here, then be sure to hit that subscribe button as well as the bell. That way you're notified every time we put out new videos just like this one here. Now, that's going to be all that I have for you in this video. I want to thank you guys for taking the time to watch it. Until next time, I hope you guys have an amazing day, and we'll see you on the next one.